Today, we're unpacking a really captivating true story about an ordinary janitor who was forced into a massive, life-changing moral dilemma. It's an absolutely profound look at integrity and really the choices that define us when literally no one is watching.
So I want you to put yourself right in the middle of this dilemma for a second. If you stumbled upon a hidden fortune and nobody knew you had it, what would you actually do? I mean, there are no cameras, absolutely no witnesses, it's just you and a life-altering amount of value sitting right there in your hands. Now, it's super easy to say we do the right thing, right? But in that quiet, unseen moment, man, that temptation is incredibly real.
Because that brings us to the next layer of this whole scenario. Would you keep it? And more importantly, would you start rationalizing it? Telling yourself that you worked hard your whole life, that life hasn't been fair, and hey, you just deserve this stroke of luck. Or would you choose honesty, even if it meant voluntarily walking away from an unearned fortune that could change your life forever? It's kind of the ultimate test of character. Let's set the scene for where this exact test took place. It's exactly 11:45 p.m. at East Bridge Station. The final train of the night has just pulled away. All the bustling crowds have completely disappeared. The loud station announcements have finally stopped. The whole place is entirely empty. Well, save for one person. Marcus, a humble janitor armed with nothing but a broom, a mop, and a quiet smile, who stayed behind to clean. Now, what's really interesting here is Marcus's quiet philosophy for his work. He had this saying, if thousands of people begin their day here, they deserve a clean place to begin. Most travelers passing through never even noticed the guy. But Marcus didn't work for attention, and he definitely didn't work for glory. He simply worked with immense pride to serve others, just making sure their day started off right.
And that dedication? It led to a massive discovery. Picture a rainy Thursday. Marcus is sweeping beneath this old wooden bench, and he spots something. It was a worn leather notebook, totally soaked around the edges, carefully tied with a faded blue ribbon. And this wasn't just some random journal. Oh no, it was packed with decades of someone's extremely valuable dreams. We're talking detailed sketches, handwritten business strategies, brilliant inventions, financial projections, even deeply personal notes. Whoever owned this had literally poured years of their life into these pages.
Marcus instantly realized he was holding something incredibly precious. But finding the owner, that wasn't going to be easy. Near the back of the notebook, he found a single clue, a business card. But the name had completely faded away. The only thing left was an old phone number. That was his one and only thread. So instead of taking this immensely valuable notebook home and, claiming the ideas as his own, Marcus made a choice. He decided he had to find who this belonged to. Now let's look at the timeline of this search, because it wasn't a quick fix at all. First, he spent days calling that number and visiting old businesses listed in the notebook's strategies, but most of them had closed down long ago. As days turned into weeks, his friends actually started laughing at him. They'd say things like, "No one is looking for that," or "You've already done enough, just give it up." But Marcus firmly believed every lost item carried someone's story. Finally, after nearly a month of dead ends and mockery, he did it. He tracked down the owner, an elderly man named Richard, living quietly in a small coastal town. When they finally met up, the emotional weight of Marcus's actions became entirely clear. When Richard saw that worn leather notebook, his hands literally trembled. He whispered that he thought it was gone forever. And with tears in his eyes, he hugged the janitor tightly and said, "You've returned more than a notebook. You've returned a part of my life." Those lost pages held decades of Richard's unpublished research and totally unrealized dreams. So, overwhelmed with gratitude, Richard offered Marcus a massive cash reward. And here we are. This was the moment where Marcus could have easily taken a huge payout and walked away a rich man. Instead, he politely declined. He told Richard he didn't return it for money. Richard just smiled, knowing exactly the kind of man standing in front of him, and replied that this was exactly why Marcus deserves something greater. So a few weeks later, instead of a simple cash transaction, Richard invited Marcus to become a trusted partner to help organize and publish the ideas. And what they accomplished together is truly inspiring. They took those forgotten ideas from the notebook and successfully launched several of them into thriving businesses. But get this, they didn't just hoard the wealth. No, they intentionally used the profits to fund community programs, build libraries, and provide scholarships. They literally turned a lost notebook under a train station bench into this massive force for good in their community. As these inventions and businesses took off, people naturally started praising Richard for his brilliant ideas. But Richard was always super quick to set the record straight. Whenever the praise came in, Richard would immediately deflect the credit, proudly stating, "None of this would exist today without Marcus." Because Richard knew that without Marcus's integrity in that empty train station, those ideas would have literally rotted away in the rain.
So here is the absolutely crucial lesson Marcus learned. Honesty doesn't always make life easier in the short term. It takes work, for sure, but it builds a solid foundation of trust. And trust? That is the ultimate form of capital. It opens doors that money simply cannot buy. Sure, money could have bought Marcus a few nice things that night, but his character bought him a lifelong partnership, a thriving enterprise, and the profound ability to change his community for the better.
Fast forward years later, Marcus was invited to speak to students at a local school about his life experiences. During the session, one child raised their hand and asked this incredibly direct, wonderfully honest question that honestly only a kid can ask. They looked right at him and asked, "Did you ever regret giving the notebook back?" I mean, it's the question everyone is probably thinking about when they hear this story, right?
Marcus didn't even hesitate. He just smiled at the student, and his response completely silenced the classroom. He said, "If I had kept it, I might have gained money, but I would have lost the chance to become someone worthy of trust." Giving up a fortune was entirely worth it to him because the alternative was compromising his very soul and losing the chance to be a man truly worthy of trust. Marcus never became the richest man in his town, but he absolutely became one of the most respected. After his retirement, the management at Eastbridge Station wanted to honor him, so they installed a small plaque right beside that exact old wooden bench where the notebook was found. The plaque simply reads, "Character is revealed by what you do when no one is watching." Today, thousands of daily travelers pass it, and many stop to read it, smile, and reflect on their own choices.
Because every single day, life places small decisions in front of us. On one side, you have convenience and shortcuts. You know, the easy way out, the quick cash, the rationalizations. But on the other side, you have integrity and character. And while it is so tempting to choose convenience, this explainer proves that the strongest, most enduring foundations in life are built firmly on integrity.
So remember this key takeaway. Your reputation, your legacy, it isn't forged in one single big, loud moment in front of a cheering crowd. No, it is crafted in the shadows. It's built through hundreds of quiet, honest choices that absolutely no one else sees. It's the sweeping of an empty station at midnight. It's making phone calls for a month to return a lost item. Those unseen moments, they are the building blocks of who you truly are.
I really hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Marcus's incredible journey. If this explainer brought you value today, make sure to subscribe to Gravonix Stories for more motivational content just like this. And hey, drop our special phrase, "Character is my wealth," in the comments below, because in the end, as we've seen today, the most valuable thing you will ever own isn't your bank account, it's your character. But before you go, ask yourself this. The next time you find yourself alone in the quiet shadows of a tough decision, what price will you put on your trust?